Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes and felt a twinge of guilt? Like maybe, just maybe, you've done something they didn't quite forgive? Not because they hold grudges. No, dogs are far too kind for that. But sometimes, their silence speaks louder than words. A missed walk, a harsh tone, a moment of brushing off their affection when they needed you most. We like to think dogs forget quickly, but the truth is, what they remember, they feel. In this video, we're going to walk through 15 surprisingly common things that many dog owners do without realizing the emotional toll they take. These aren't big, dramatic mistakes. In fact, most of them are small, daily habits. But to your dog, they mean everything. Especially if you've got a pup that looks up to you as their entire world. And here's the twist. This isn't about shame or guilt. It's about awareness. Because when you truly understand what makes your dog feel safe, respected, and loved, you unlock a deeper level of companionship most people never reach. Stick around until the end, because the last mistake? It's something nearly every loving dog owner has done. And it's the one mistake your dog feels more deeply than you'd ever guess. Let's explore what it means to care not just for a pet, but for a best friend who trusts you with their whole heart. Dogs don't use words to tell us when something feels wrong, but they do have rhythms, quiet, subtle patterns of behavior that are built around the comfort of daily life. And when those rhythms get disrupted, even by accident, it can shake their world more than we realize. Let's talk about the kind of mistakes that may not look serious on the surface, but to your dog, they feel like little betrayals. Breaking their routine without warning. Dogs are creatures of pattern. Just like many of us who find comfort in the small routines of life, a morning coffee, an evening walk, they too rely on predictable structure to feel safe. When you change their routine suddenly, skip a walk, delay dinner, forget their usual playtime, it doesn't just confuse them. It can make them anxious and unsettled. One viewer said, "My Spanky gets anxious when his snack time is late. I see it in his eyes." That's not just a quirky habit. It's emotional security being tested. Studies from Konkuk University show that even just 3 minutes of predictable interaction, like play or a short walk, can reduce cortisol levels in both dogs and humans. That means your dog doesn't just like the routine. Their body depends on it to feel calm and connected. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Even if your day gets busy, a consistent rhythm tells your dog, "You're safe. I'm still here." Using the crate as punishment. For some, a crate is a safe place. For others, it's a memory of being shut away. If you've ever told your dog, "Go to your crate," with frustration in your voice, after they chewed something or made a mess, you might not have realized what it meant to them. To a dog, being sent into their crate in anger can feel like being cast out. And that's not what crates are meant to be. According to the Karen Pryor Academy, crates should be associated with relaxation, rest, and reward. When dogs willingly enter their crate, it should feel like slipping into a woozy bedroom, not being sent to a jail cell. So how do you turn that around? Add a favorite blanket. Drop in a puzzle toy with a little peanut butter. Speak gently. You're not punishing, you're inviting. And that shift in tone can rebuild a powerful layer of trust. Forgetting to acknowledge their good behavior. We often correct dogs when they do something wrong, but how often do we pause and acknowledge when they do something right? Imagine this. Your dog waits patiently by the door instead of barking, or they sit quietly when the mail arrives. You smile, maybe even think, "Good boy," but you don't say it out loud. To your dog, silence means nothing. Dogs crave feedback. In fact, neuroscientific research shows that dogs experience a boost of oxytocin, the love hormone, when praised warmly, just like humans do. That one kind word, that little ear scratch, or even a cheerful yes, tells them, "You matter. I noticed." Don't wait for a trick or a command to give praise. Praise the calm. Praise the quiet. Praise the simple good choices your dog makes every day. Because if you don't, they'll start wondering if those choices even matter at all. Together, these small acts send a big message. None of these things, changing a schedule, misusing a crate, forgetting a good boy, are cruel. But over time, they send a message: you're not important right now. And your dog, who builds their whole world around you, starts to feel the shift. The good news? Trust is resilient. One day of intentional care, one change in tone, one gentle return to routine, that's all it takes to remind your dog that the bond is still strong. Because dogs don't ask for much, just that we show up, consistently, kindly, and with a heart that says, "You're home." You might not even notice it. Something as small as skipping their favorite morning ritual or speaking too sharply in a rush. But to your dog, those moments leave a mark. Coming up next, you'll learn the behaviors that don't just confuse your dog, they quietly chip away at their trust. If you've ever felt like your dog just isn't listening, there's a good chance it's not about disobedience. It's about confusion. What seems small to us, like changing the tone of a command or getting frustrated during training, can leave your dog feeling unsure or even afraid. And fear doesn't build trust. It builds distance. Let's talk about the everyday mistakes that might be making your dog nervous, hesitant, or lost in translation. Sending mixed messages about the rules. One day you let your dog on the couch. The next day, your spouse tells them to get down. At dinner, sometimes a bite of chicken slips their way. Other times they get scolded for begging. Dogs don't see this as flexibility. They see it as a game with no rules, and that's stressful. One commenter put it best: "Inconsistency breaks your heart. One day it makes them happy, the next it gets them in trouble." For dogs, unpredictability doesn't just confuse. It can make them anxious about every decision. Your dog wants to please you, but if the rules change depending on the mood or person, they won't know what's expected. And when dogs don't feel safe making choices, they withdraw or act out. So here's the fix. Pick simple rules. Stick to them. Make sure everyone in the household does the same. Consistency doesn't just teach, it comforts. Overloading them with commands. Sit, sit down, sit here, sit now. To you, these might all sound like the same thing. But to your dog, that's 4 different noises, each carrying a different tone, energy, and message. Dogs are amazing at picking up on our cues, but only if we give them a clear, repeatable pattern. Too many variations of a command can overwhelm and confuse, especially in older dogs or rescues who are still building trust. Instead, choose one cue for each behavior and stick to it. Say it once, give them a moment to respond, then reward or redirect. Your calm clarity becomes their confidence. Remember what one viewer shared: "My dog responds better when I explain calmly, like I would to a person." That's a powerful reminder. Dogs don't need fancy commands. They need calm, patient communication. Correcting too late. Your dog chews your slipper, but you find it 10 minutes later and scold them. They tilt their head. Look guilty? But do they understand? Not really. Dogs live in the moment. If the correction doesn't happen within seconds of the action, they simply can't connect the dots. What they learn instead is that sometimes, out of nowhere, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability feels unsafe. Rather than relying on delayed discipline, focus on redirecting in real time. If they're chewing the wrong thing, offer a better option. If they bark excessively, teach quiet, gently, and reward silence. Every correction should be a guide, not a punishment. Punishing natural behaviors instead of redirecting chewing, digging, barking, sniffing everything on a walk. These aren't bad behaviors, they're dog behaviors. It's easy to get frustrated when our dog's instincts clash with our expectations. But scolding them for what's natural only tells them one thing: I can't be myself around you. And that breaks more than trust. It breaks joy. Here's a better approach. Instead of saying no, offer a yes in the right direction. Chewing your shoe? Offer a safe, satisfying chew toy. Barking at the mailman? Teach a calm, alert signal and reward silence. Digging in your flower bed? Create a sandbox just for them. As one longtime rescue volunteer said, dogs aren't being bad, they're just being dogs. And when we work with their instincts instead of against them, we become not just owners, but partners. Every confusing moment is a chance to clarify, not scare. You don't need to raise your voice, yank a leash, or throw out commands like a drill sergeant. Your dog isn't a robot. They're a sensitive, emotional being trying their best to understand you. The most powerful tool you have? Patience. Take a breath. Use one cue. Reward the effort. Be the steady energy they can rely on. Because when your dog feels safe being themselves and safe learning with you, they don't just follow commands. They follow your heart. Think about this. When your dog hesitates before coming to you, it might not be stubbornness. It could be confusion. Coming up next, we'll look at the tiny ways we break trust without even knowing, and how simple shifts can rebuild the safety your dog quietly craves. Love is a language, and for dogs, it's spoken through touch, closeness, trust, and consistency. But sometimes, without meaning to, we interrupt that language. We misread signals, push too hard, or brush off their attempts to connect. And even the smallest of those moments, when repeated, can start to chip away at the heart of your relationship. Let's look at the actions that don't just confuse or upset your dog. They leave them feeling unwanted, invisible, or rejected. Taking away what they treasure. To you, it might be just a toy, a squeaky rubber bone they've chewed 1,000 times. But to your dog, it's a prized possession, a source of joy, comfort, and even identity. So when you snatch it out of their mouth mid-play, or worse, take it without a trade or warning, it doesn't feel neutral. It feels like betrayal. One viewer shared a story about their dog gently pawing at them after a toy was taken away too soon. Not in anger, but in confusion. What did I do wrong? That silent question hurts more than any growl. The better way? Offer a swap, a treat, a better toy. Make it a game, not a power move. When your dog feels in control, their trust in you grows deeper. Rejecting their affection. Dogs have countless ways of saying, I love you. A head resting on your lap, a soft nudge, a quiet lean into your side. These aren't random gestures, they're emotional offerings. And if we repeatedly ignore or push them away, especially in moments when they're trying to comfort or connect, something shifts. Slowly, they stop trying. Not because they've stopped loving you, but because they're no longer sure their love is welcome. Many comments on this video expressed disagreement about the idea that dogs don't like hugs. In truth, some dogs do love hugs, especially when it's their choice, not ours. What matters isn't the hug. It's the intent, the tone, the invitation versus the imposition. As one viewer said, "My dog lays her head on my shoulder and waits to be held." That's love, and it should be honored. So if your dog offers affection, receive it. Even if you're tired, distracted, or just not in the mood. You don't have to give a grand gesture, a hand on their back, a soft word, a pause, because to them, that moment is everything. Forcing unwanted social interactions. Picture this. You're at a party, and someone drags you into a conversation you weren't ready for. You smile politely, but inside, you just want to leave. Dogs feel the same way, especially the shy or sensitive ones, when we push them toward strangers they don't trust yet. Dogs aren't all social butterflies, and just like people, they have different comfort zones. Forcing a dog to meet someone new when they clearly want space doesn't teach confidence. It teaches fear. Instead, let them approach on their own terms. Offer a gentle cue. Toss a treat nearby. Let them observe from a distance. Respect their pace, and they'll trust you more for it. Startling them awake. We've all heard the phrase, "let sleeping dogs lie." But it's not just an old saying, it's good advice. Waking a dog abruptly, especially with physical touch, can trigger what's called a sleep-startle reflex. This is especially common in rescues or dogs with past trauma. They wake confused, defensive, even frightened, not because they're aggressive, but because their nervous system is caught off guard. The fix is simple. Use their name softly. Call from a distance. Let them open their eyes before you move closer. Teach children and guests the same respect. Because how we treat someone when they're most vulnerable, yes, even a dog, says everything about our bond. These moments don't seem big until they stack up. You might not think much of taking a toy too soon, brushing off a cuddle, or nudging your dog towards someone new, but imagine being on the receiving end of that, day after day. Eventually, you'd start to pull back. Maybe not out loud, but inwardly, quietly. And dogs do the same. But here's the beautiful truth. Dogs are forgiving. Incredibly so. If you begin showing them, through action, not just words, that their feelings matter, they'll come running back. Often, quite literally. So start with presence, with respect, with listening, not just to their bark, but to their body. And you'll find, slowly, that trust begins to bloom again. Trust isn't usually broken by one big mistake. It fades through repeated moments, missed cues, ignored gestures, broken patterns. But here's the good news. It can also be rebuilt, one kind act at a time. Coming up, let's talk about how to reconnect and rebuild the bond your dog longs for. If any part of this video made you think, "I've done that," please don't worry. You're not alone. Every dog owner makes mistakes. What matters most isn't what's already happened. It's what happens next. Dogs are remarkably forgiving. But more than that, they're deeply attuned to our efforts. The smallest act of consistency, the gentlest touch, the quiet choice to show up a little more present today than yesterday, that's what they remember. That's what they respond to. So how do you begin to rebuild trust with your dog, especially if you've noticed some distance or hesitation? Start with routine. Even something as simple as feeding at the same time, walking the same path, or having a good night moment can signal safety. As the research shows, Just 3 minutes of daily structured interaction, play, massage, or walking, can reduce stress hormones and increase oxytocin for both dogs and their humans. It's not just about structure, it's about emotional rhythm. Use your voice like a bridge, not a barrier. Speak softly. Use their name like it means something. Let your tone be warm, even when you're teaching. Dogs don't just respond to commands, they respond to your energy. When your dog offers love, whether it's a nudge, a lean, or a lick, welcome it, even if it's brief. That moment of acceptance tells them, "You still matter to me." And if you've been the one who pulled away before, now is your chance to return, not with guilt, but with grace. Every day is an opportunity to show your dog, "I see you, I hear you, I love the way you are." Because the truth is, your dog never stopped loving you. Not for a second. All they're waiting for is your invitation to start fresh. If you've made it this far, it means you care. And your dog can feel that. Even if they don't speak your language, they read your actions louder than any word ever spoken. But here's something few people know. Dogs have subtle, powerful ways of showing trust. And if you've ever wondered, does my dog truly feel safe with me? You'll want to watch our next video. In it, we explore 12 quiet but meaningful ways your dog tells you, "I trust you." Some of them might surprise you. Others might already be happening right under your nose. It's the kind of insight that deepens your connection, not with training, not with treats, but with understanding. So go ahead, click through to that next video, because your dog already sees you as their world. Isn't it time you learned how they show you the same?